Richter trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, brother?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Street Bullies. Thank you, Matt Casey, for joining us finally. My name is Derek.
And I'm John. What's going on, everybody?
And again, Matt Casey, nice of you to join us.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine. Believe me, it's I really missed you guys. You know, I was down with the in-laws for like a full week, and sadly enough, that's still better than hanging out with you guys. But
that one hurts.
What hurts the most?
But I'll bring this up again before we get to Hoagie. But like you living with the in-laws, like, dude, you have like ice coursing through your veins.
Well, like I told you, I have a crack house down the street. We became buddies.
I'll take 2, please. 2 cracks.
Just the daily
Hey,
stop.
AV, nice to see you.
Hoagie, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, boys? Like I said, I did not miss you guys.
Casey, what color is Hoagie's attire?
Oh my gosh.
It's looking red to me. Why?
Thank you.
What's
Thank you.
the
Apparently,
debate
it's
here?
burnt orange.
It's orange. This is literally a Flyers hat that I'm wearing. Like,
No, it's your attire from the Moulin Rouge yesterday.
You're quite
Sure.
raw there.
Oh,
Oh, it's so nice having you guys all back together.
I'm going to watch the Hooker Theater.
the Mats
Stepfather
are
that
back.
married into the wrong family.
Well, no, I mean, it's, you know, I listened, sadly, I actually watched a little bit last week, and I was like, oh, it's like an old married couple, like, just be like, what are we going to talk about? The kids
You
don't
listened to the
call
morning
anymore.
argument, didn't you?
Spent
So Hoagie
15
and I had to
minutes
come
talking
back.
about Sam Moran.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty
Christ.
sad.
I stand by every single word that I said.
Dumbest thing he's ever brought up, and that's saying something.
Let's
We're
not go
all
that
now
far.
stupider for having to listen to what you have just said.
Thank you, Billy. Anyways, we've got 2 major things to talk about. You want to call it major, but first, per Hoagie's request, I should say, we do want to get to the Flyers Penguins game that happened this afternoon, being Sunday afternoon. So, Hoagie, because you brought this up and you would like to speak about it, I'm going to lead with you. I'd like you to give us your input on how that game went today.
It was good.
We beat the
3-1.
Penguins, boys.
I love it.
We avoided a series sweep, whatever you want to call it, by the Penguins. Like, it's a win in my book. Everybody that's crying on Twitter about how, you guys shouldn't be winning, like, lose these games, get a better pick. Who cares? We beat the Penguins. Like, come on, man. Noah Cates played really well.
I'm with you, Hoagie, man. Like, I don't believe in the tanking one bit, especially against the Penguins. Like, we're fielding the worst team we could possibly field at this point,
Right.
and we still beat the Penguins. That's on them. That's not on us.
Yeah, nice to see. 4-1, they put up some offense, which was great. John, any input on the Flyers Penguins game this afternoon?
I don't care. I truly don't. I mean, it's nice that we beat the Penguins, but I really don't care. I just want the season to be over. I looked at the schedule. I was like, wait a minute. We've got a whole nother week of this? Like,
Yeah.
That's one more week, right?
For some reason, I thought, like, the Penguins game was it. Maybe there was one more game. No, we got a whole other week. It's like, well, I just want to move on.
And it's not even like, it's like Winnipeg. I don't think I can name 3 players. in
Ottawa.
Winnipeg right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ottawa. Like,
Isn't their
what-
last game against
Winnipeg?
Nashville or something like that too?
Tap
No,
out.
Chicago,
Can't there be a mercy
Winnipeg,
rule?
Ottawa,
I've been I've been waiting for this season to end since like November.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the
this has
first
been
10 games.
Haven't we all? Yeah. I'll tell you one thing though, we did notice, and we spoke a little bit about it here earlier in the I should say before the podcast
The
actually
pre-pod.
started, the pre-pod, which you folks would love the outtakes there. But Noah Cates, big bright spot on the game today, because those 2 goals deflected, I believe, was it both of them, or I know the one for sure.
The next JVR, you heard it here first.
I said it first, jerk.
Says the guy who watched the game. But no,
I watched the first 2 periods, I will say, but
yeah,
I think that's the
like good game. I think that they played well. That you always like to see that against a team like Pittsburgh, but at this point it's meaningless hockey. I don't know what else to say.
But I mean, it's great that Noah Cates is playing well, and I mean, for us to see those kind of goals, it makes other people expendable if he can play that kind of game, And I think we
It makes
mentioned
JVR expendable.
Yeah,
it makes JVR 100% expendable.
Oh, that's what tipped us
JVR
over
has
the
scored
edge.
5
Yeah.
in 6 games.
just had to make sure that we had Noah Cates. Now we're good.
Yeah, we know what we've got now. We can part ways with JVR and know that this team is better off.
But I mean, you brought it up. I'm pretty sure it was you, because I mean it was me and you, and I don't think that I said it. But the last show where you said he seems like somebody we might be able to slide up and down the lineup, right? I mean, he'll have a comfort zone, but there are areas of his game that I think we'll be able to kind of plug him in. The second line, I don't know, the top line is a bit, but
This season, maybe, but
I don't know.
He's a Scott Lawton type, a guy that
Right.
knows his role really well, but can also do essentially what's asked of him if he's going to be on the second line as a winger, whatever.
As of now, anyway. I mean,
yeah,
next
it's very
season,
early.
this could all disappear.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
big
it's
rush.
good. It's like the overall, and this will probably be something that we tackle in a week or two, but you look at everyone who has played, excuse me, from the young guys standpoint, who probably wouldn't have gotten playing time in the, if we were anywhere close to the playoffs, if we were anywhere close to good. And, I think it's fair to say, okay, a majority of those guys will not be on the Flyers next year, regardless of what offseason moves we do. But I think there are a handful, including Cates, including York, including, a few others that okay, that actually is a good youth movement coming up. And so
Right.
I'd be interested to hear opinions on that down the road.
Yeah.
We don't need to do it now.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. I was glad we don't have to do that now. I was not prepared, but no, Bobby Brink looks good. No,
Snarky.
Cates looks good. Oh, what? I can't have some fun, guys. Come on.
Have some snark.
The
You know what,
snorks.
Derek? We don't like your attitude.
I've never been one to really care.
Hoagie, you have anything to say?
Huh? Hoagie,
I don't like the fact that your
I've seen
goatee doesn't fill in on top either. What's up with that?
on time. I blame genetics. I don't know what else to say. Not all of us can grow that luscious beard that you've got, Matt Casey. Jesus.
I had it when I was like 14 too. It was great.
Well, Derek's got the kind of facial hair of somebody who should shave.
Exactly. I
Like,
just don't care anymore.
Like a Sidney Crosby
out of my
playoff
book.
beard. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
he's
I
got
think mine
boobs
might
on his
actually be
freaking face.
fuller than Sidney Crosby's, but regardless, I don't have the national TV to show it off on. So, but whatever. Anyways, any other? What did you just say, Hoagie?
Oh, he's not paying attention. He's writing a sequel to Moulin Rouge right now.
You're right.
No, so moving on here again, we talked about there's going to be 2 major topics we want to discuss here tonight, whatever. Ryan Ellis is the big one here. We want to get to what's happening with Ryan Ellis.
What
Nothing
is
more,
happening
nothing
with
less.
Ryan Ellis?
Again, this is open-ended here. No one
Yep.
really knows. There's been plenty of rumors, plenty of opinions, a lot of people saying, he was in the photo, he wasn't in the photo, getting that straight. But, first off, let's start with what we apparently, according to sources at least, from Anthony DeMarco mentioning there was a contemplation of sorts when it comes to surgery, something to do with the midsection, it sounds like. Kevin Hayes-esque. But, there's some hesitation apparently about getting the surgery. So, John, knowing what we know about that,
Mhm.
and also with the medical staff, the training staff. Do you see maybe why he's hesitant, or is this just perplexing to say the least?
Well, listen, I think it's really hard for me to talk about that guy's medical being because I know nothing, right? I have no idea what the risk would be for surgery. I have no idea what kind of surgery it would be. I think the alarming part for me is that we're still not on the same page I mean, the Flyers and Ryan Ellis don't still seem to be on the same page here. And that's the scary part. If he's not going to do surgery at this point, I would assume that the team would at least come out and say, we have decided to, not elect to do surgery. This is what is going to happen. This is how long it's going to take. We expect him to be ready, right? It just went from Ryan Ellis will be returning in 4 to 6 weeks. Ryan Ellis is week to week. Ryan Ellis is no longer returning. He might have surgery. It's just.
And then who is Ryan Ellis?
Right. And now who is Ryan Ellis at this point? But the worry to me is we've gone an entire season and we have no clarity. And this is with a GM who is pretty open about this stuff. It's not Ron Hextall.
Yeah.
So.
We touched on that a little bit last week about the clarity and the transparency, I guess is the best word for it. With Ron Hextall, everything was just locked tight. No one knew anything. It was upper body, lower body. That's all we ever knew. With Chuck Fletcher, this guy's second cousin, twice removed, and their aunt, at this point. Everything was broadcasted essentially.
Right.
That's, again, to your point, is what's so strange with what's going on with the Ryan Ellis.
And there's
situation.
there's no determination. There's no conclusion at this point. That's crazy to me. But somebody else talk, please.
Can you guys paraphrase what, who was it? Anthony, who?
DeMarco.
Hoagie, I think. Do you have that pulled up, Hoagie?
What was the paraphrase of the article?
There were multiple segments too.
So, per source, this is from April 20th. Ryan Ellis has been contemplating surgery. His injury is thought to be a hip flexor, groin, abdominal, or core muscle issue. Not many with the team know exactly what the issue is.
Good to see we narrowed it down. Nice.
Exactly.
So not knowing
it's not
what the
head
issue is,
or the foot.
Not knowing what exactly that issue is, is it
such a problem.
DeMarco? Is it DeMarco not knowing, or the sources not knowing, or is it Ryan Ellis not knowing? Because that's really concerning.
No, there's no way he doesn't know what the
Ryan Ellis
in an
knows.
episode of House right now where this has never happened before, and the doctors are like, I wonder what's going on.
But if the team's not sure, right? If the team isn't sure, then that's just as big of a problem.
You'd think Ryan Ellis would talk to some of these guys. They're his teammates. He'd be like, "Oh man, I'm having a hip flexor issue."
Like the GM and such.
No, you're right. You'd think those guys would know too, though, because at the end of the day, that's his employer.
Right.
Without trying to sound too harsh, you should be communicating that. Hey, man, listen, hip flexor issue, or hey, man, abdominal muscle is shot. Whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I go on two different wavelengths on this. Number one is the fan in me, where I look at somebody like Kevin Hayes, where I know he had a tough year last year and a tough beginning of this year, but that dude went through two. I know that one was a cleanup surgery, blah, blah, blah. He had 2 surgeries this season alone, and he wanted to play. He wanted to come in.
Sure.
And people can crap on Kevin Hayes all they want. That's all I need to see from him. He wanted to be here, and he's played really damn well, even though the team has not over the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Now, look, I look at that compared to Ellis, where, look, obviously the guy's injured, but, you look at when we first traded for him, he was the most unenthusiastic individual in the entire world during that press conference, being like, oh, I guess I'm going to Philadelphia. And then you play 4 games. And so you're kind of like, I don't know. I have suspicions, but at the same time, it's like the guy's a pro athlete, right?
Sure.
He's gotta have something in there. And so I'm honestly wondering if they just got to a point in January where they're like, dude, you're not healing this surgery. It's going to be 2 months minimum of recovery. You might have a better shot of this team's not going anywhere anyway. I think that there could be some give and take there where he just, they just pulled the ripcord on his season in general and said, all right, let's try to heal this thing out naturally instead of doing surgery. I still don't necessarily agree with it, but
Sure. What's your take on this, Hoagie?
I don't know. I feel like I hate you guys. I seriously do, man.
Hoagie don't know the words.
I don't know words. It's hard, very hard for me. But the side of me is saying, it's probably like a core muscle injury, similar to what Hayes had, and there's hesitancy of Ellis to get surgery because of what he saw Hayes go through over the past 9 months, year at this point. Like, gets the surgery, comes back, gets hurt, gets the surgery again, comes back, gets hurt. like, does he want to go through that himself? It's just tough. I mean, I'm hoping it's that type of like hesitancy of he doesn't want to go through that. I know I screwed that up, John. I hate you. But I mean,
let that go, man.
I didn't say anything.
I see John smirk. I know
say anything.
Hesitancy.
That's a good point, though. That's a very good point. I mean, think about it. You're seeing firsthand. Maybe it's the same injury, and then he comes back, he's out. He comes back, he's out. Mm-hmm. That'd be enough to make me hesitant about it.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. This guy's played 4 games with this team. We barely know him.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't play next season, we're what again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this guy, he's on the hook for 5 more years. He's supposed to be our top pairing right-handed defenseman. If he can't play, we've got the same old issues again.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest concern with this. If this was, I don't even want to say Sanheim because Sanheim's, really stepped up. But even if this was like a Ristolainen, which is like, okay, that would be devastating. Like, Ristolainen isn't the key necessarily to the entire defensive core.
Right.
Ellis
is. Yep.
As it's structured right now, he is. Now, I believe that Provorov or Ellis or Provorov or Sanheim is going to be gone this summer, and it's now teetering towards Provorov, quite frankly, as we said a couple weeks ago. But still, like, what do you this guy's not going anywhere. Like, you're locked into this contract, man. Like, what are you doing? And so I'm like perplexed on what the Flyers could do if he continues to not want surgery but can't play. Because like long-term injury reserve, like once he gets off of that, or if he comes off of that and you've signed another defenseman that is of some similar caliber, like, you're going to be over and it's going to be tough.
Now, there was, again, rumblings about a bit of maybe unhappiness that he has harvested or harbored towards the team. Do you think that could potentially play into this? Because think about it. Like, if he wanted to get healthy, he could. He's got some of the world's best doctors, best rehab people. Like, he has access to all these amenities that could help him get better much quicker than any one of us. Mm-hmm. So is he reluctant to just come back to this team given the state of the team? Is he unhappy that he's in Philadelphia? I mean, think about it. Flyers, in retrospect, paid pennies on the dollar for this guy.
We could still win this trade, quote unquote, with this guy playing 5 games next year. Like, that's how bad it is. But
except he's on the hook for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Hoagie.
I don't think he's unhappy with the team, because like if he was unhappy with the team, he wouldn't have been at Giroux's 1,000th game celebration. Like, we wouldn't have seen him take that picture with everybody. He would have made it.
He didn't take the picture with everybody, though, didn't he?
He was at Giroux's 1,000th game celebration. He was not there for the team picture.
That's what you're going to get all hot and bothered about.
Context clues, John. Come on, listen.
All right,
put that other earmuff on your ear.
But I keep one ear open.
Yeah, right. No,
I got a kid too, and I just tune him out.
No, I don't think it's unhappy. I think it's the state of the team he doesn't want to come back to, because it's just a toxic locker room that they're losing so many games, and why show up in a locker room that piss poor?
Because you're supposed to be a veteran leader.
Because you're getting paid $6 million a year to do so. Like,
Right.
Yeah, but there's only so much you can do when you're hurt and like not on the ice. They're not going to listen to you.
I disagree with that.
Isn't that what Noah Cates said like a couple weeks ago that there's no leaders right now, or there's plenty of leaders but no one's speaking up, and it's hard for me to speak up. Like I feel like if Ryan Ellis was to speak up and he's on crutches or whatever, Noah Cates is like, what the hell are you saying? You've only played 4 games.
Disagree wholeheartedly with what you're saying right now. They're not, because listen, they're not going to be like, well, he's not playing right now, we're not going to listen to him. Like the guy's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He's done what it's taken to make him considered a top pairing defenseman. But here's the thing. We could talk about this so the cows come home. We could be like, Ryan Ellis isn't happy. We could be like, they're screwing up the medical thing. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concern.
mm-hmm.
We can speculate till the cows come home. But the fact that the season is about to end in a week and this guy has played 4 games and we know nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the most concerning part. Absolutely.
It's the biggest concern because we can't even have a well-educated conversation. I mean, we don't have a well-educated conversation about anything.
But we have a GED conversation.
But we can't have a well-educated conversation about what this team should look like next year until we know what is going on with Ryan Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, man. I have to think. I don't think it's a mystery. I think it's just a mystery to us and the general public. Like there's obviously have been conversations. You don't just like you don't come in as a premier defenseman and just say just not feeling it. Just not feeling it this year, guys. Sorry.
But
like there have been conversations.
But isn't it strange to you though that like with a leadership group that has been so open that there's been nothing though?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. I also think, and I don't want to dodge your question, but like I do think there is something as well that you got to read between the tea leaves. That the fact that Mike Yeo, bless his heart for trying, like he's a lame duck coach, and this why put your all he has to hear is yes, this could get worse if you play on it.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, it's a no-brainer. Like, what are you doing with a organization that knows the coach isn't going to be here, a team that isn't going to be in the playoffs? Like, why do it? And the only response to that is because you have freaking heart. Which again, back to Kevin Hayes. You know what? Kevin Hayes has heart. Good for you.
But why not fix the issue? That's, I think, my biggest problem with this. Because
that's me too.
Yeah, because, again, I'm not going to sit here and preach like surgery fixes all. It doesn't sometimes.
Right.
I get that. But in the same breath, I feel like this is something that, you're kicking around the idea of having surgery when it sounds like you're just kicking the can down the road. You should be able to go in, get that procedure done, and that minimizes the amount of time that you're on the bench, that you're up in the press box watching the games up there. Again, without knowing what the exact issue is, I can only assume because it sounds like it could be a severe issue. I feel like surgery would be able to fix that. Maybe I'm just ignorant, but
in no way, shape, or form am I saying that this guy is lacking heart, and if he's not getting surgery, he should be on the ice. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is at this point, right? If he's decided to not get surgery, you would think that Chuck Fletcher or whoever the hell wants to get up there and says, we've had a lot of conversations with Ryan Ellis, and together we have decided that the best route for this is to just rest on his own. We, weighed the 2 options and this makes sense.
Right.
Like Ellis just got back from a shaman. They did this weird procedure where there's a bunch of smoke and, leaves and this and that. Like that's supposed to heal him, So I guess it's the long road, but he'll get there. Yeah.
How good would it be if he just shaved his beard and everything was good?
That's what's inhibiting him. His beard.
The thrust to weight ratio is off.
They're actually in the process of giving Sam Moran his legs. That's what it
Ellis
is.
is going from 5'9" to 6'3".
I like it.
No, they're giving Sam Moran Ryan Ellis's eggs.
Oh, so now we've got just a
Shorter.
normal sized defenseman,
Right.
Damn it. No, the Ellis talk. I mean, John's right. You could go hours talking about something like this because there's so much uncertainty. We could sit here and be like, well, we could
It's
do this. we could do that.
speculation. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speculation at its finest.
'Tis the season.
Yeah, right. Well, it's only going to get worse once the season actually ends after game
I
82.
can't wait till exit interviews. Oh boy.
Yes. I can't wait.
But if we just entertain this idea for a second that Ryan Ellis doesn't want to be here, sorry, buddy, you got no trade value, so you can retire. But
Right.
Doesn't
Like,
that put that back on
We've seen
Massel
it
then?
before.
Like,
Right.
how would that work? Because I'm interested to see, like, if that is an option, does that mean that the Flyers are responsible for his cap hit, even though he played, like, not even a handful of games?
Wait, if you retire,
No,
Yeah.
he
Does it
retires.
go? Does it go back?
yeah,
on
the money
Nashville?
goes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he,
Completely away.
Yeah, he doesn't get it.
Well, hold on a second, because I think didn't we have to pay Pronger when he retired?
But that
In-
was for injury
injury.
reasons.
yeah.
well,
that was-
this is
How was this?
along the same
Mhm.
lines with Ellis. There's an injury involved.
Well, yeah, but I guess like with
Pronger was
Pronger,
different because it was a career-ending injury. Like he was
right,
never coming
This is
back.
a refusal to get a procedure injury.
right. This is
The
us
exact
saying,
opposite of what
We could just
Eichel
nullify the contract and say you're not coming back and you don't want to come back, and that's grounds for termination of the contract. That makes sense from a,
right. But for
Yeah.
all we know, this guy like doesn't have an arm anymore, and he can't play hockey. So
I don't know, one-armed Ryan Ellis. Are there worse options
might
out
be-
there for
might
the
be.
Flyers right now?
Keith Yandel, one
Yeah,
arm.
us.
Really making me contemplate here.
right,
Here's the other thing that, regardless of what's true or not, Ellis has a tough uphill battle if he does play again in the city of Philadelphia.
yep.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, yeah.
He has a long road to go because he will get. I mean, we're known as a pretty lenient fan base, I suppose, but even this would
Oh, yeah.
set us up.
Hey man, you see those Yankees fans the other day? We're looking good right now.
What were
I
the
know
Yankees?
Throwing garbage at the Cleveland. What are they called
The
now?
Guardians.
Guardians?
Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
Who's making names for the sports franchises
the,
these days?
The sportscaster
Washington
for New York
Commandos or
called
whatever
him-
it is.
They called them the Indians, and I was like, "Oh, wrong. That's wrong. They're the Guardians, buddy."
The Guardians. What are they
Yeah.
guardianing?
Guardians.
Oh, he's like,
You-
what? That's a real word.
Yeah, you make fun of Hoagie all the time for him at least trying to pronounce things,
I
and you just
didn't.
make words up. Good God. Yeah, I mean, does anybody want to add anything?
Can
To the
we
All-Star.
just do a straw poll? All right, like
Straw poll?
a straw poll.
Let's do
What
it.
do you think happens? Does Ellis play game 1 of the regular season next year?
He
Yes.
goes missing, and we never hear from him again.
He goes on a milk carton.
Like a Russian oligarch?
I don't think he does.
I don't think he
he
does
plays.
either.
No?
No.
Hoagie, what do you think?
I'll be different. I think he's in there.
I think he's in there too.
I think
think
he goes
he's
his own route. He goes his own route for treatment.
To
what
hell
have
with your
you.
guys' optimism.
Hey man,
He's gonna find a yogi, and the yogi will get it done.
I think he'll be in within a month.
I'm waiting for Chuck Fletcher. You know, he's announcing that Ryan Ellis is having surgery. You know, during his exit press conference.
Right?
Like, oh yeah, he had
it'll be a
surgery 6 months
6-month
ago.
recovery.
Ryan Ellis had surgery 6 months ago.
Oh no, I'm saying that he's telling everybody he's gonna have surgery and it'll be 6 months.
Oh,
So
that'd be fun.
all right, so let's say it's still uncertain, like how you have to go after another defenseman, right? But
with
have
what
to.
money?
You're not going for a top pair defenseman. There's no way. We don't have the money.
York, Provorov, Sanheim, Ristolainen. Insert
What?
two names here.
Linus
pairing.
Hogberg, definitely not Morin.
Or Attard.
yeah,
Slander Sam Morin one more time, Hoagie. I'll kick you off the show.
and not Yandel. So we processed elimination that one.
Not Keith Yandel.
All right.
I'd be okay with some of the younger guys. I mean, maybe Zamula. Like, I thought he's looked all right.
Can
So-
Zamula just go to the goddamn weight room? Like, give the guy the shot. There's got to be ways to at this point.
To get around it.
Yeah, you can. Did you guys see that the college goalie
Yes,
the one who won the
yes,
Hobie
the one
Baker.
Hobie Baker. Yeah, he's
They found some
disqualified or something like that.
performance
Tried to
enhancing, like a grain of salt worth or
trace.
something, and they were going to suspend him for 4 years, but he fought it. So now he's out for 6 months. But it's
Does he
something
even
like
have
he
4
had
years of
no
eligibility left.
No, he's turning pro.
Yeah,
His
like, so
career
who
went over.
cares?
But it was like this much in there. He had no idea, and he's still going to be suspended for 6 months.
Wasn't it
He's
found
gonna
like,
anyway.
Wasn't it found like his like protein or like
Yeah,
sports
some
drink
sort
or
of
something?
supplement that he
some
was
stupid-
taking.
Because that stuff's changing all the. I mean, I look back in high school, like we used to take this stuff called Ultimate Orange, which like was basically
Agent
like
Orange.
a shot of like adrenaline. And I remember like dry heaving in the backfield as I was like getting ready to
God.
like take the hand off. But like 2 years after I graduated high school, that stuff was deemed illegal by like everything. And I was like, I didn't know, like, it wasn't illegal at the time. I was popping Sudafed and drinking Ultimate Orange. Like, what do
I
you want
had
me to do?
classmates my senior year of high school in my TV class that purchased like pure caffeine, and one of them actually did like a teaspoon of it just on his own, and he's like, I wanted to die. Like, I thought my heart was going to explode. I'm like, well, it's pure caffeine. Like, I don't know what you expect. Christ.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways, from defense to goalie, still part of defense, you could say. A lot of stuff to break down when it comes to the goalies. I mean, again, an open conversation here. It's just going to be kind of, Hoagie wants to call it stay or go here because he does the graphics. But, I mean, we'll call it the situation in the crease.
Graphics. Let's not give him too much credit. He plugs.
He types
things.
it.
Yeah, he types it in.
Yeah. The
I
supers.
wasn't even on the
We'll call them
show
supers.
last week, and I still did it for you guys. Like,
He did. Kudos to you, Hoagie.
Yeah, I'm not knocking your commitment, buddy.
Much more heart than Ellis.
Right. How long?
He only missed 1 week and he's back. I mean, take notes, Ryan. But we're looking at likely a handful of goalies here in which, we've got to make up the crease, obviously. So let's get this one out of the way. Carter Hart, starter next year, correct?
Yeah, but can we talk a little bit more about Carter Hart?
Yeah. I got some issues with him right now.
Right.
Oh, Matt
I
Casey.
want to hear
right.
Casey because
Me too.
I definitely want to hear this.
I guess a similar argument to what I have with Ellis that, he got shelled in that Capitals game and there's no way that was a season-ending injury. And maybe it was a, management call. We're shutting you down. Okay, I can understand that. Here's my thing. So what was his, his rookie year was 2018, 2019, and then 2019, 2020. He was really good at home, terrible on the road. Like that was his thing. Last year, couldn't handle it mentally. This year, all of a sudden, he's got another bit of injuries, didn't have a good defensive front. Like, I'm not sold that, I think he's a good goalie. I'm not going to be upset if he stays, but I'm also not sold that he is like this great savior that everybody is putting him up to be. And
I agree.
It's just like, I haven't seen it. I want to believe it. I just don't believe it right now.
Right.
Sure. We've been far removed from that season where he came in and played well at home, terrible on the road. But everybody saw those home numbers and thought, oh my gosh, this guy's fantastic. Right. Which, I mean, I fell under that umbrella as well. These past 2 years, I can't speak to it because none of us have ever been through it. I'm sure it's been difficult on him, especially at his age, being a younger goalie, playing in these weird conditions with the bubble, no fans, staying away from home, his family. That's tough, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you got to be able to put it all together and just tune everything else out, unless I'm being insensitive here. I don't know.
Well, I think, too, sorry, Casey, I didn't
go.
I think, too, I don't want to run into a situation where we're always thinking about what he could be potentially, and we just, like Casey's kind of said, keep making excuses, right? At some point, he has to be that guy, and I don't think that everything falls on him. The team has been terrible in front of him, right? Mm-hmm. But at some point, you see this with certain players, like that mediocrity to terribleness kind of becomes your identity. And I'm worried that Carter Hart will get too much of that before we actually get to see if he can become a great goalie. I'm I'm leaning more towards he's going to be like this average guy that we're always continuing to hope that he's going to take the next step to stardom.
Do you think it's the fact that just, the Flyers fan base in general has been starving for a franchise goaltender for so long? And I'm sure Hart knows that. I'm sure that he feels that type of pressure. And maybe he's not cut out for it. Is it that drastic? Is it something where it's like, again, he's got to know that a lot of people are having discussions like we are right now, where it's like, is this the guy? Is he going to be our franchise goalie?
So we're the problem. We're the problem. That's what it is.
It's usually the case.
Could be. No, but again, coming into this situation, I should say, knowing that this team has been starving for a franchise goalie, maybe he's just not up to that task. Like, I don't know. I don't want to question the guy because I can't do what he does.
The reality is he doesn't need to be Andre Vasilevsky if we can put a competent team in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Cam Talbot freaking succeeds because he's got a competent team in front of him. Mike Smith is 100 years old and he's had a bit of a resurgence. Like, he doesn't need to be Carey Price, Andre Vasilevsky, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Hope he's not Carey Price. We lit that fucker up.
See, and we wonder why we have explicit on our show.
Thanks a lot, man. Casey. Sorry, kids.
But yeah,
John's kids.
Right. Yeah. I had some of my students say they found the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, it was you, not me.
Time to change the name.
Right.
Here comes a rebrand.
So I don't know. I mean, if we can put together a competent team in front of him, maybe he can be good enough. Man, hopefully we'll be able to find that out. But I'm definitely not. I think I'm with you, Casey, and I'm not like, hey, we're fine in net. It's everything else has got to be fixed.
Because a year ago it was the exact opposite, and now we're like, all right. But Hoagie, you haven't had a word in. Go for it.
No, I mean, I think Carter Hart's our guy. I've always believed that. He's been dealt a crappy hand the past 2 seasons in terms of who's in front of him. I mean, we saw the numbers. We know what he can do. I think he just needs to get that confidence back that, he doesn't have to cover for a random defenseman just chasing the guy behind the net or something like that. Like, he needs competent defensemen in front of him that are going to play the game the right way, and that he doesn't have to try to overcompensate for somebody, like I said, running around the ice, not playing their position well. So I think, we get rid of the Yandles, we get rid of the Connaughtons, the Sealers, who have you. And John, you said this last week. Derek, you've said it as well. We've all said it. I hate banking on next season on a bunch of ifs and buts and maybes. Like, I need to have some solidarity of Carter Hart can return to form if, Ryan Ellis is back in the line. We have Risto. Yeah. Like, he's
solidarity. I don't think
solidified.
Same thing. We get the premise.
Right.
No,
like,
it's.
I wasn't going to do anything until I saw Casey's face.
You are right.
I'm on delay over here too.
Because think about this.
You hear that, John?
Think about it this way. We had a team go to the Stanley Cup Finals when we rotated through Brian Boucher, Ray Emery, Michael effing Layton, and he had to look at the defense in front of him. Pronger, Timonen, Coburn. They had fantastic defensemen. Matt Carl was one of them. Was Andre Mazzaros too? Wasn't he there?
Yeah. Who can you name our third pairing defenseman though that year? I don't know.
Was it Mazzaro? Daryl Powell? No, Daryl Powell's a forward.
Daryl Powell's a forward.
I'll
look it up real quick. It's
guys,
like 2
he was
random
number 2.
people.
He was number 2. I just can't remember his name. But you're right. But their top 4, their top 4 defensemen were fantastic. We don't have that anymore. We've got the exact opposite. We've got a good goalie and a terrible defense.
But
Go ahead.
Here's the thing, though, is a year ago I would have agreed with you, but this year at the beginning of the year, we actually had a pretty solid defense, even without Ellis. We were actually playing okay, and Hart was playing very well. We had zero scoring.
Sure.
We beat Carolina 1-0, and everyone was like, or 2-1, like, you know, like really low scoring games. But everybody knew going into this season that Cam Atkinson was not going to make up 50 goals a year that we needed to win a lot of these games, and that just showed in spades. And I'm hopeful that we're going to get that with people, you know, with some of the depth players we have with Tippett. If Allison can ever stay healthy, you know, with
Wayne Gretzky wouldn't have scored 50 goals on this team this year. Like, they're just that bad.
Right. So I don't know. I just feel like it was an overall team collapse. I don't necessarily think I can put it just on the defense. It was also on the offense as well.
The injuries play a big part too. I mean, as much as no one wants to hear that, think about it. You know, we were without Risto, we were without obviously Ellis, Couturier, Hayes, like Giroux's gone now. It sucked, man. This year just all around was terrible.
Yep.
So speaking of injuries, I think it was Tim Saunders when I was listening to the first period on my drive today. He said it was like 250 or 280 something man days that we had missed due to injury. That's wild.
It's unreal.
It's just wild.
Where does that rank? I mean, we got to be up there with Montreal, and look at that. I mean, look at that polarization right there. Montreal goes to the Stanley Cup, and you can debate till the cows come home about that Canadian division last year, but they still made it. Like, you know, nobody's going to discount that from them. And then they have injuries to Weber, to Price, to I'm sure they had a couple others. You know, like it happens. And
wasn't
like
Lakeinen out for a while too?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and nobody wants to hear it. But like, that's a reality of the sport, is that people get injured, and that affects your team. And so you have depth. It's like, cool, you can have depth, and that helps fill in when a third line winger gets hurt. Not when your first line center and top pairing defenseman get hurt. You know,
for sure.
Two integral pieces to both sides of the puck get hurt at the same time and then are out the rest of the year. Like, no one plans for that.
So
especially not Chuck Fletcher.
So I would assume that we all think he should stay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
what else is out there?
But I do have a question though, and maybe everyone's answer is the same. But what if we end up deciding to rebuild, and we say, "Hey, this is going to be a 4-5 year plan," right? Do you then change your mind and go, let's trade him before he becomes spoiled goods? Because if we're going to suck, he's most likely, his numbers are going to dip.
Yes. I would say absolutely you do it. If you don't, like, his value during a rebuild is going to plummet.
Yep.
Until, and like, his confidence is going to plummet. We know that this guy isn't the most mentally strong individual, and I don't want to make fun of that, but like, it's just a reality. Like,
it's been talked about, right?
You know, he needs a strong mental, you know, arena to play in. But I think if that is the plan, like a 4-year rebuild from now, like, yeah, you got to do it. I also think I would go the opposite direction too, where if a deal comes across the table that can dramatically improve this team, that involves Carter Hart, I think you have to do it.
Like, he's replaceable enough at this
point.
I
think he is replaceable enough.
Sure.
With who though?
That's the thing. Like,
that's another rabbit hole to jump down. We can get into that.
Right.
But like, and a lot of the discussion, we've seen it. I mean, Ivan Fedotov. We're hearing about how fantastic he's been in the KHL playoffs this year. I think they're in the finals now, and his goals against is like sub 2. His save percentage is like a 9.3 something. Now, he got shellacked the one game, but are we I'll pose it this way. Can we bank on him being able to come in?
No.
Thank you.
No.
I want to respond to every single one of those tweets saying there's no way in hell he comes to the NHL.
Well, and I think hello rabbit hole, but if we were to trade Carter Hart for offensive, defensive help, whatever it might be, and we become drastically better, we're not throwing a farm system guy in net. We're going out and signing 2 veterans and saying, okay, you're going to 1A and 1B, and we're good enough in front of you where we think we can win.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's not going to be the home
deals.
Sorry, go ahead.
All I said was humongous big type of deals.
Humongous big type of deals. Jesus.
But it's we just have such an attachment, as every team does, to homegrown talent, and we want to see him as the Ron Hextall pre him being a GM and us all loving him. Like, we want to see the Ron Hextall and what could have been with Pele Lindbergh and what could have been with Sergei Bobrovsky. Like, we're just like, oh, we're owed something. Like, it might just be one of those things where we need to pull in serviceable 2-year contracts for the next 10 years. And that is what it is. Right now, like Martin Jones, I don't mind Martin Jones playing right now. I wouldn't be opposed to keeping him next year either.
Segue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like, I personally would like to see Sandstrom more, but again, that this is, in the grand scheme of things, not as big.
Well, I think we're still at the point though where I don't know if we should be at this point anymore with Carter Hart, but I still want a veteran behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we as a team progress the way we were all expecting, we might be having a different conversation saying, hey, yeah, you know what? Give Sandstrom the backup goalie because Carter Hart's got this. Mm-hmm. I'm not there right now. I wouldn't be opposed to Martin Jones again, but take your pick. Like there'll be a bunch of those guys.
Oh yeah, plenty of those guys out in free agency. I mean, the Martin Jones of the world. There's a lot of them. Hoagie, you haven't really talked much here, so what are you thinking, man?
I think Jones. I feel like he's gone in the offseason. I think we're closer to a rebuild than a retool, and I feel like why not just put Sandstrom behind Hart and just he's a good fall guy. Let's just ride the young guys and prove their worth and try to trade them after a while. Like, build up their value and let them go. Let's actually see what we have.
The one thing that sits in my mind with Sandstrom is the fact that his first game against LA, he played wonderfully. He's had, I don't want to say like rough outings, but they weren't spectacular by any means. So like, it's still not enough to show me that he is a 100% capable, competent backup, but it's enough to show me that at least he deserves somewhat of a chance. And whether it's with Philadelphia, I think he's only on a 1-year deal, isn't it?
Is he
expiring?
a group sixer?
No,
he's a
I don't
group
think
sixer
so.
at the end of this year. Yes, he is.
Oh, he is?
What the hell is a group sixer?
It's a group six.
Somebody who hasn't played X amount of games or X amount of years.
It's wild, Casey.
Yeah, Sam Warren's a G6 too.
So
he was banking on you not knowing this, Casey.
Because I didn't know what it was. So a player whose contract is expiring meets all the following conditions and will become a UFA if 1, the player is 25 years or older as of June 30th of the calendar year. 2, the player has completed 3 or more professional seasons, qualified by 11 or more professional games for an 18, 19-year-old player, or 1 or more professional games for a player aged 20 or older. This can include NHL, minor league, and European professional league. And 3, the player has played less than 80 NHL games. It's wild. It's wild.
What are the implications?
That sounded wild, yeah.
Like, what specifies? Like,
Hoagie.
I shouldn't say what specifies.
Hoagie.
Like, what?
Hold on, Derek. Hold on, Hoagie.
I'm gonna lose my goddamn train of thought.
When you're explaining something, buddy, when you got to read it, mumbling is very hard for people to hear. Here, Casey, I got it all here for you.
I should just text it. It's just wild.
It's complicated, right, Casey?
What implications is it? What implications are there?
So
in
they
being
haven't
a G6?
played enough games. Is that all I need to know?
Yeah, and they reached a
Or
certain age.
Okay, all right.
Exactly. But like, what's the difference then between that and a normal free agent? Like, I mean, aside from what age and the fact that he hasn't played, like, is it do we still own his rights and we're the only ones that can exclusively negotiate with him?
Typically, Group 6 guys, it's like the people who are going to turn into career AHLers.
Yeah. Stolarz was a Group 6 guy, though, and he's been proven to be a pretty decent backup for Anaheim.
Okay. Yeah, because they're doing real well.
Are you upset that I just proved you wrong? I mean,
you didn't. You didn't.
Didn't I?
No.
I think Stolarz is having a good year. I could be wrong, but
You're
not.
probably wrong.
Sticking
Feel free to look it up.
Sticking with goalies and back to who's the KHL guy that you were just talking about?
Fedotov, yeah.
There's the other one too.
So what happens with the KHL right now, given this whole little skirmish we're having? Over in Ukraine and
there's no way
all
he can come. There's no way he could get a work visa right now to come to the United States.
So like any KHL prospect is null and void at this point.
Well, any Russian KHL
right.
prospect.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of
Isn't Fedotov the one that has said he doesn't want to come to NHL or has expressed?
I don't think that's ever.
I don't think he's outright said that. No.
Right. I mean, I've always questioned whether or not he'd want to because of the success that he has at the KHL. I mean, and he was a late bloomer, 7th round pick. For the. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a learning curve.
It's those Russian kids' dreams to play in the KHL, just like any Canadian or North American guy with the NHL. So, I mean, he's living his dream right now.
Want to play with Mother Russia.
Yeah, exactly. Without the terrible accent there.
You.
Yeah. Fedotov talk, I'm over it. I'm glad he's doing well. Great. I would love him with the Flyers, but they're not happening.
I'm blanking on the other guy over there.
Kolosov.
I mean, he's better in my mind. He's younger. He had a good year too. But the same thing. It's too many ifs. You can't go into this. And Hoagie, I agree with you. I think we're closer to a rebuild than a retool. But it all depends on what the organization decides. And if they say that we're retooling, which again we'll talk about, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about.
Yeah,
they're not going to go the Fedotov route. Or the Sandstrom route,
As if we haven't beaten that horse to death already. We've got a whole off season to discuss it all over again. Yeah.
You know what, though? There has never been more exciting Flyers talk than in the off season. That is where we thrive. What's the fun
for the past couple? Since last season to this off season, it's just plenty to talk about.
We've done our best numbers in the off season. 2 years ago, I think we were killing
Thanksgiving, we had to have a sit-down meeting and be like, all right, boys, what are we going to talk about for the rest of the season?
We have been scraping at the bottom of the barrel for months.
We stopped doing the Prod Street previews. It was bad.
Yeah.
We were like, this isn't even worth it.
We didn't even get to the end of Q4, and it was done. The fiscal hadn't retired, and we knew we were toast.
Yep, it was bad. It was bad. Hopefully it doesn't get too much worse, but not holding my breath. Any other goalie talk we want to cover here?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Sandstrom goes back to Europe. That's my last.
He was going to this past offseason, wasn't he? Yeah.
I think so. So
he probably sees this organization and he's like, nope, bye.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this was also
say goodbye in Swedish.
This year was a one-year signing. So
yeah, it was a one-year sign.
Right.
Can't say I blame the guy. That's nothing else to add, really, aside from Hoagie. Are you prepared with your dad joke this week?
Is it a Moulin Rouge themed?
It is absolutely not.
Just honk your horn? Beep, beep.
My neighbor, if he wakes up my kid, I'm going to kill him. Nice guy.
Casey, let me explain this to you.
Article 3, Section 4.
25.
In the bylines.
If you played down,
if I had another hidden cocktail down here, I would drink it.
Another hidden cocktail?
He did. All right.
Okay, Hoagie, dad joke. Let's go.
A Lindo champion walks into a bar.
What kind of champion?
A limbo champion walked into a bar.
And he lost.
Yep.
That was stupid.
It's only stupid because you don't like it.
I
Get
was
over
stupid
it.
because I didn't get it at first. What does this mean?
Is the joke stupid or are you stupid?
I mean,
Up for debate?
can we have a bit of
Find
both?
out next week on Pod Street Bullies.
Another rabbit hole.
Casey, can I mean, not Casey, Hoagie, can I ask you something? This entire show you've been looking down at doing, like, are you filling in a crossword puzzle? What's happening?
Sudoku.
You just keep looking.
On my notes.
You're
On my
writing.
notebook.
So you're writing your notes as we're talking?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah. Think about it for a
Casey does
second.
it.
Yeah, I
Matt-
write 3 lines that look like
Oh,
a kindergartner wrote it.
You've
And
been like
I
this
do it
all
in
show.
the 2 minutes during the preview, and then I
Writing a
retweet
eulogy.
on top of that.
Think about it though. Hoagie says something, and then
Right.
John interrupts, and then Matt Casey goes off, and then
Makes
Hoagie's
fun of
jotting
him.
down because he's like, I need to remember where I left off because these schmucks won't shut the hell up.
Well, yeah,
I do that too.
because our audience doesn't have a law degree, and we can't go through contracts with Hoagie.
Fair point. Fair point. All right. Anyways, big shout out to our affiliates here, Flyers High and Wide. They've got a big show here coming up tomorrow night, actually, that Hoagie is going to be a part of. They're going to be
big show.
talking to Lou Nolan tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So I shouldn't say tomorrow night, Monday night at 7 p.m. So tune in. Check them out on Twitter too, at FlyersHW. Check out Dave. Check out Maestro. Sorry, Maestro.
Maestro.
Over 5 Minute Major Pod. Good God.
Check out the big brain on Derek.
It is a wonderful, wonderful night at the Bob household. Anyways, check those guys out, their podcast as well. But Matt Casey, let everybody know where they're going to be.
Hey guys, I'm over at Pod Street Casey. I think I actually have no idea what my Twitter handle is. Pod Street Casey, and yeah, where it's at.
All right.
And Hoagie.
Punching hugs. For all your live content.
Pod Street Hose for on that Twitter app thing.
Twitter app.
John, where can they find you? Oh, wait, they can't anymore because you suck.
Because I hide.
Wait,
You're
did
not
you
hiding.
sign off? You're off?
I am.
Oh man, what happened?
Gove went dark.
I just couldn't take it anymore.
All of your Marjorie Taylor Greene tweets finally got to you.
Yep.
All right, so where can we listen to the podcast before
You can
this
find this
gets any more off the
podcast on
rails?
all your various podcast listening receptacles, including but not limited to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Spreaker, Stitcher, Splunker, Pocket Casts,
Yes, there it
I-
is. Podcast exists.
iHeartRadio. What did you say? Podcast exists?
Yeah, podcasting exists. Yeah.
Okay, try that one out too. We're on YouTube and anywhere else that you feel like listening to us. The AM radio.
I wish.
Yeah, come on now.
Hoagie, what's the AM radio?
I know what AM radio is.
You don't know Painted Black by the Rolling
All right,
Stones.
let's get on with it.
Yeah, I'm ending this. You can find me
Also-
on Twitter, Pod Street Bob. You can find us on Twitter, Pod SD Bullies. Goodbye.
Bye
Bye
now.
now.
Bye now.
Bye now.